I still remember the exact sound of her voice. Soft, shaky. Almost afraid of its own truth. My gynecologist leaned closer to me, her hand resting lightly on my arm, and whispered, "It's urgent. You need to come back tomorrow morning. And you must not stress tonight." That line never left my mind. Not because of the urgency. Not because of the fear I felt crawling up my spine. But because of what happened afterward. Because when I told my husband, the man I had trusted with every part of my life, he didn't hold me, comfort me, or even look concerned. Instead, he broke me. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with that afternoon. The clinic was unusually quiet. A cloudy day, a waiting room full of tired women, and my own heart beating so loudly I swore others could hear it. I had gone in for what I believed was a routine check. Nothing more. Just a quick look, as the nurse said. But my doctor's face told another story. When she re-entered the room after reviewing my results, I noticed something instantly. She wasn't smiling. Not even pretending. She closed the door softly behind her, pulled her chair to sit right in front of me, and clasped her hands together as if preparing for a difficult truth. "Listen," she whispered after a long pause. "I don't want to alarm you, but we need to repeat some tests early tomorrow. I want to be safe. I want to check everything before giving you details." I blinked at her, trying to process. Is it serious? Another pause. Another look. A hesitation that stabbed deeper than any answer. "It's urgent," she finally whispered. "Just don't stress tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll get clarity." He nodded. Cold. Already spiraling. She squeezed my hand, then added something she probably shouldn't have. "And avoid arguments. Just keep yourself calm. Avoid arguments." If only she knew my husband. If only she knew that calm wasn't something he offered. I walked out of the clinic trying not to break down. The world outside looked blurry, like I was seeing it underwater. Cars passed, trees shook, but I wasn't really there. I was floating somewhere between fear and disbelief. When I finally reached home, I rehearsed in my mind exactly how I would tell him. Gently, calmly, without triggering anything. Because even in my fear, I was still the one walking on eggshells. But I expected one thing. Empathy. Just a little. Instead, I got the opposite. And that's where everything began to fall apart. When I opened the door, my husband, Daniel, was lying on the couch, scrolling through his phone with the TV playing loudly in front of him. He didn't even look at me. No "Hey, how did it go?" No "You're home early." Nothing. Just the glow of his screen reflecting on his face. I stood there for a moment, unsure if I should interrupt him or wait until he finished whatever he was doing. Chose to speak. "Daniel, can we talk?" He sighed loudly, like my voice was ruining his whole day. "What now?" he muttered without looking up. The first crack inside me formed. "I just came from the clinic. My doctor said something urgent came up. I need to go back tomorrow morning." He stopped scrolling, finally looked at me. But his expression wasn't fear or concern. It was irritation. "Tomorrow morning. Again. Didn't you go just last week? Why are they dragging this out?" I swallowed. Hard. I don't know. She didn't give details. She just said it's urgent. And then he stood up, slammed his phone onto the table, and raised his voice. "Are you serious right now? I told you tomorrow is important for me. I have a meeting. I can't be driving you around every 2 minutes because your doctor is confused." His words hit me like cold water. "I never asked you to drive me," I whispered. "I can go alone." But that made him angrier. "Oh great. Now you're playing the victim. So what if something happens? It'll be my fault." Froze. Victim. He was turning this into an attack on himself, when all I needed was comfort. "I'm scared, Daniel," I said softly. "I just wanted you to be with me." He snorted. Actually snorted. "You're overreacting. Doctors always exaggerate." My chest tightened. This man. The man who held me on our wedding night. The man who swore to protect me. The man who promised to be my partner. He was now treating my fear like an inconvenience. And then he said something I'll never forget. Look, I don't have time for your emotional episodes. Call a taxi. Or better walk. You need the exercise. Something inside me snapped. Not anger. Not rage. Just a painful clarity. He didn't care. Not even a little. But what I didn't know then was that he wasn't just being insensitive. There was a reason for his coldness. A reason he wanted me gone the next morning. A reason he didn't want to drive me. And the truth behind it would destroy me more than any medical diagnosis ever could. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling while Daniel snored beside me, completely unbothered by the storm inside my head. My doctor's whisper echoed again and again. It's urgent. Don't stress. Avoid arguments. But how could I avoid stress when I lived with a man who made everything heavier? Around 2 a.m. I got up to drink water. As I walked back to the bedroom, I noticed Daniel's phone vibrating on the nightstand. Normally I never touched his phone. Not because we had trust, but because he always kept it close, screen down, password changed every few weeks. But tonight something was different. He had fallen asleep so deeply he didn't notice anything. The phone lit up again, this time with a message preview. A woman's name. A heart emoji beside it. My stomach dropped. Another message came instantly. Is she asleep? Can you talk? Froze. My heart began racing so hard I felt dizzy. I told myself not to touch it. Not now. Not while I was already anxious. But the phone kept vibrating, over and over. Another message. Tomorrow morning is perfect. Just tell her you're busy. My hands trembled. Tomorrow morning. The exact time of my urgent appointment. The exact time he refused to take me. A chill spread through my body as I reached for the phone. For the first time in years, his screen wasn't locked. Maybe he fell asleep while texting. Maybe he forgot. Maybe the universe wanted me to see the truth. I opened the chat. And my whole world shattered. There were dozens, no hundreds, of messages. Flirty ones. Secret plans. Pictures. Late-night calls. Hotel bookings. They talked about me too. Mocked me. Laughed about my routines. Talked about waiting until I'm out of the picture. And then, the message that killed whatever strength I had left. Make sure she goes alone tomorrow. You promised we'd have the morning together. I covered my mouth, trying not to scream. He wasn't just cheating. He wasn't just cold. He wasn't just distracted. He was planning to spend the morning with another woman, while I was going to the clinic in fear of what my doctor would tell me. That was the moment something inside me cracked in half. I wasn't just scared of my test results anymore. I was scared of the man sleeping beside me. I felt betrayed in a way I didn't know a human heart could feel. I put the phone back exactly where it was, crawled silently to my side of the bed, and stared at the wall until morning light crept into the room. And with that light came a new kind of strength. Not loud, not angry, quiet, burning resolve. If he wanted me to go alone tomorrow, then I would. But it wouldn't end the way he thought. He had no idea the storm he had just created. In the morning, Daniel woke up unusually cheerful. Too cheerful. Don't forget your appointment, he said as he brushed past me. And don't call me unless it's truly important. I'll be busy. Busy. With her. I nodded quietly. He wasn't suspicious. Not even a little. He thought I was the same timid woman who avoided confrontation, who softened every argument, who apologized for things I didn't do. But not today. Today, I was awake in a way I hadn't been for years. After he left, I grabbed his phone again, not to read messages this time but to check something else. His GPS history. And what I saw confirmed everything. A hotel he had visited 3 times in 1 week. A park where they met secretly. A luxury restaurant. Jewelry shop. Jewelry. My heart tore a little deeper. I took screenshots. Stored everything. Sent it all to my email. If he wanted to destroy our marriage, Then I would make sure he didn't walk out untouched. I arrived at the clinic 15 minutes early. Hands cold, breathing shallow. Not just from fear of my results, though that fear sat heavy on my chest, but from the knowledge that my life was about to split into a before and an after. My doctor greeted me gently. "We'll redo the tests. I don't want you to panic yet," she said. "There are many possibilities, and most are manageable." Manageable. I held on to that word like a lifeline. When I asked if I could wait for the results alone, she nodded. I sat quietly in the waiting room, watching couples walk in together. Husbands holding their wives' purses, boyfriends squeezing their partners' hands, every man doing the exact opposite of what mine did. And I felt two things at once: fear for my health, and disbelief at the betrayal beside me. After an hour, the doctor came out again. "Let's talk privately." Her eyes were kinder this time. Softer. "It's not what I feared yesterday," she said. "You're okay. We'll need to monitor you closely, but you're not in immediate danger." Exhaled. A shaky, overwhelming breath that made my whole body tremble. I was safe. But my marriage wasn't. The doctor placed a hand on my shoulder and asked, "Is everything okay at home? Yesterday you looked distressed." And for the first time, without giving details, I whispered, "I found out something. Something I can't unsee." She nodded slowly. "Your emotional health matters just as much as your physical health. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." I left the clinic with the tiniest spark of strength glowing inside me. But as I walked outside, I saw something that blew oxygen onto that spark, turning it into a wildfire. Daniel, standing across the street. Not alone. He was leaning against his car, smiling at another woman as she touched his arm. The same woman from the messages. The same woman he chose over me while I feared for my health. They didn't see me, and I didn't call out. Instead, I watched, observed, memorized. He opened the car door for her with the kind of gentleness he hadn't shown me in years. He kissed her cheek. Then they drove off together. But what he didn't know was that the person he thought was weak was no longer afraid. And the revenge he set into motion was already unfolding. When I returned home, the silence felt different. Not heavy. Not suffocating. Empowering. I wasn't crying anymore. I wasn't shaking. I was planning. And the first step was simple. I sat at the kitchen table, took out a notebook, and wrote one word. Enough. Everything he had done, the gaslighting, the coldness, the emotional neglect, the cheating, had pushed me into a version of myself I didn't recognize anymore. But now I felt something rising inside me, something fierce. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to break. I was going to win. I gathered every screenshot, every message, every photo. I recorded the GPS logs. I printed everything neatly, put it into a folder and sealed it. This was my shield. Then I sat back and waited. Daniel came home late, smelling faintly of expensive cologne. He didn't even try to hide it. "Why are you awake?" he asked casually, dropping his keys. "I needed to talk to you," I said calmly. He rolled his eyes. "What now? Did your doctor exaggerate again? Or do you want me to skip my meetings tomorrow too?" I didn't react. Didn't flinch. Didn't show emotion. I simply placed the folder on the table. "What's that?" he asked. "Proof." He frowned, annoyed. Annoyed, not afraid. I opened the folder slowly, letting each printed page fall in front of him. Messages, pictures, plans, restaurant receipts, GPS logs. His face turned pale. Then read. "Where did you get this?" he snapped. "From your phone," I said simply. "You went through my stuff. That's a violation." Cut him off. "A violation. Daniel, you cheated on me. While I was at a clinic terrified I might be seriously ill. While you mocked me behind my back. While you planned a morning date with someone else." He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. "Do you know what my doctor told me yesterday?" I whispered. "She told me not to stress. To avoid arguments. She thought I had support at home. He looked away. You're blowing this out of. Daniel, I said sharply. Stop. Just stop. He froze. You don't get to hurt me and then decide how I should react. His jaw tightened. So what do you want? Smiled. A small, calm, terrifying smile. You'll see. Because revenge wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was silent, precise, like a scalpel. And mine was just beginning. The next morning, Daniel pretended everything was normal. He made coffee, packed his briefcase, avoided eye contact. But guilt was a weapon, and I was letting it sharpen itself. But my revenge wasn't going to be emotional. It was going to be practical. He worked at a company that prided itself on family values. They sponsored charity events, hosted seminars about ethics, and had strict policies regarding misconduct, especially affairs involving colleagues. And guess what? The woman he cheated with worked in the same company. I knew this because their chat was full of office jokes, shared meeting schedules, and complaints about their boss. So I did what any calm, betrayed, strategic woman would do. I sent everything to the company's anonymous HR portal. Every screenshot, every timestamp, every detail. Then I submitted a copy to his department head directly. Again anonymously. 20 minutes later I got a response. Thank you. We will investigate this immediately. Perfect. At 11:40 a.m., Daniel called me. For the first time in months. He sounded nervous. Did you send something to my job? I paused for a moment, letting the silence stretch. I don't know what you're talking about. He exhaled shakily. A mix of fear and anger. They called me in. My boss. Everyone. They know everything. I stayed silent. They're threatening me with suspension. They're questioning her too. This could destroy both of us. Both of you. The words stung, but they also lit something satisfying inside me. So you were more worried about losing her than losing me? He didn't answer. What do you want from me? He finally asked, voice breaking. I want you to understand something, I said coldly. You didn't just cheat. You neglected me when I needed you the most. You made me feel small. You mocked my fears. And you abandoned me. I didn't know. You didn't care. More silence. Please don't ruin my career, he whispered. But the thing was, I didn't ruin it. He did. By lunchtime, both he and the woman were placed on temporary leave until the investigation ended. My revenge wasn't dramatic. It wasn't violent. It was justice. And justice doesn't apologize. When Daniel came home that evening, he looked like a defeated version of the man who once towered over me in arguments. He dropped onto the couch and buried his face in his hands. I could lose everything, he whispered. I didn't sit next to him. I didn't comfort him. I didn't touch him. Instead, I stood in front of him and said, You already lost the most important thing. He looked up. What you? No, I said softly. Your character. He opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. I'm filing for separation. I need time, space, distance, and I won't stop HR from doing their job. His face twisted with anger and fear. So you're going to leave me over one mistake? One. I laughed. Daniel, this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice you made over and over. And you chose her even when you thought I might be seriously ill. His expression crumbled. He reached for me. I stepped back. You made your bed, I whispered. Lie in it. Then I packed a small bag, took my keys and walked out. Not running. Not crying. I was free. I stayed with my sister for the next few weeks. Daniel texted. Beg. I didn't answer. The HR investigation concluded shortly after. The other woman was terminated. Daniel was demoted. Salary cut. Placed on a 1-year probation. Justice. Eventually, he sent his longest message yet. I ruined everything. And I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I want you to know that what you did. Understand it. You were strong. Stronger than I ever expected. I'm sorry. I didn't respond. Some stories don't need epilogues. Some endings speak for themselves. If you've made it this far into my story, let me tell you the truth I learned. Sometimes betrayal doesn't destroy you. It opens your eyes. I spent years shrinking myself, softening my voice, hiding my needs, protecting his ego, ignoring my own pain. I thought loyalty meant endurance. I thought love meant sacrifice. I thought silence kept the peace. But silence only protected the wrong person. It took one whisper from my doctor, "It's urgent," to make me realize how fragile life is. How short, how unpredictable, and how precious my peace should have been. So here is my lesson. Never ignore the signs. Never let someone make you feel small. Never stay quiet to keep someone else comfortable. And never forget your worth. Love should feel safe. Partnership should feel supportive. Marriage should feel like home. If it feels like walking on eggshells, you're not in a home. You're in a cage. And cages are meant to be broken. I walked away stronger, clearer, and more alive than ever. Daniel lost his job status, his affair, and eventually me. I gained myself back. And that was the real victory.